how's it going, guys? Welcome to Audio Addiction. We have Sick Enough with us today. He can say his name and what he does in the band.
What's up, everybody? My name's Eddy Madero. I am the singer and guitarist for the band Sick Enough.
Woo! Shout outs. I've known Eddy for many years now, and dude is doing great shit. So I will leave a link to their new music video below, along with all their other social media. Make sure to go give them a follow, because I have a sneaking suspicion, Eddy would come on here and tell me that he's got new stuff coming. Every band trope that everybody does, big things coming. But, I believe it this time. I want to believe that, he's got it and we're doing it. So, but yeah, I was really excited. I'll also leave a link for my low reaction as well, too, if you want to check that out. That'd be really sick. But I feel like you're here for a reason if you wind up checking out the reaction video. So very cool. Eddy, thank you. Welcome back. I have to ask, I know you from a previous time in your life, and now you have this new project. So, what kind of made you want to come back and do it? Because I know you took a couple year break of just not doing it. Life happens. We had something, big happen to all of us that I'm sure everybody wants to forget that existed. But, how did Sick Enough kind of start out? Has this always been something you wanted to go into? Because I know your previous project was heavier. So this is a little bit not as heavy. I mean, there's some heavy moments, I'd argue. But, what made you kind of get into this mentality, or like wanting to go forward with this sort of project idea, I guess?
For sure, man. And thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure. And like you said, we go way back. So always good to jump back on and just seeing behind the scenes, like all the growth that you've been making so far from all the years. So yeah. So how it started. Okay. So yeah, I was in a metal band before all of this. But oddly enough, even before that, I was involved in a pop rock and pop punk band. And I mean, it didn't really go anywhere. It was very much like a high school band that were just like, hey, like, come to our show. And it's like max like 20 people or so. But hey, man, we had a great time doing it. It's for the love of the craft, So yeah, I've always had that passion. I mean, I love metal too, but I've also enjoyed pop punk and all those things. So after leaving that band, I actually wrote the first song, which isn't Low. It's the song that's coming much later. So big things coming soon.
Oh yeah.
So I had written these songs, but I kind of just sat with them. I wasn't really thinking much about doing anything with them. It was more so a creative outlet. And
sure, yeah.
That's about it. But I did show it to a few friends, and they were very encouraging about like making this something. So
good to hear.
I reached out to Andrew Wade, who recorded my band's last EP when I was with them. I showed him the first song I wrote, and he was like, dude, this is awesome. Let's track it. And I'm like, oh, okay. I was surprised because, he had worked with my last band, and I figured that was probably like the end of the end of the relationship. But when I shared that with him, he was like, yeah, let's do it. And I was super excited about that. And while I was there, I showed him a bunch of other songs that were kind of all over the place. And anybody who's starting a band or is trying to figure that out, they know how it goes, where it's like, you might just be writing a bunch of different songs and different vibes. And since you're kind of like you're just kind of like tunnel vision with it, you don't realize that they might be very different from one another. So fortunately with Andrew, he looked through all the songs. He really liked the one that I first sent him, but all the other ones he was like, they're good, but they don't match. They don't align.
Yeah,
exactly. So we ended up writing a new song on the spot, and it was Low, which is the song we just dropped.
Wow.
Yeah. So the thing is that, to give some perspective, that was in 2018. When we tracked that. So it's been a very long time, and a combination of the reasons for it taking so long to drop up until now, 2023, is because despite people thinking that it might be what happened in 2020, that was a big part of it. But the main thing was ultimately myself. I was dealing with so much like negative self-talk and a lot of a lot of just feelings of inadequacy, because it's like, yeah, I wrote these songs and I'm singing it, but then that makes me the front person. And I've never been a front person before.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know the first thing on how to do that. Like, if I put this out there, people are gonna be like, yeah, this sucks, this is garbage, or it's generic or whatever. And it was really messing with my mind. So having dealt with that for a long time, I kind of just delayed the release. And then I was also
Mhm.
being very much a perfectionist, trying to be like, okay, well, if we're going to release, we have to do this, and then we have to do that, and we can't put out anything until we do all these different things. Which, to some degree, sure, in hindsight, they were
Sure, yeah, yeah,
important,
yeah.
but to another degree, it's kind of like, was it really necessary to do that now? Could it
Sure,
have
yeah,
waited till
yeah.
after the release? So yeah, so all those things together uh, is kind of what delayed it. But again, I was able to meet the bandmates that I have now, and they've been super supportive. A few other close friends have been very supportive, and just kind of giving that encouragement to be like, hey, like, this is great. You should definitely put it out there. And I've been able to like work with a few other people, like directors for music videos and things like that. So the next few songs that come out are all going to be, hopefully, jam packed with like videos and things like that, to just make it very exciting, and
Nice.
most importantly, consistent, because that's very important nowadays.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you being very transparent about like self-taught, yeah, and stuff like that, because I feel like I suffer with that sometimes. I think that's just like the YouTube complex, you know,
Oh
like
yeah.
when you've been on YouTube for a long time, you're like, I can't believe this guy gets more views than me, or like I can't believe they have more subscribers, like all this sort of stuff, and like no diss to them. They're doing great. Shout outs to all
Mhm.
the people in the community. And I think like during the pandemic, I had time to really realign myself as well. Like I think there was things in my life where I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this, like what's gonna happen, like what's gonna happen with the music, and like I think everything after this, after that point, I basically was just like this is what you like to do. Just stop like you can be doing this when you're 50, 60, whatever. Like you can be doing this when you're old, and then you're gonna have so much like experience and knowledge in the business doing this. And if you're capable of doing it and having time, you know, set apart for it, like you know, you can even do it when you have a family. It may not be as big or as as much content as I typically put out, but you know, there is that possibility that things will still come out in a consistent basis. And like, you know, I think sometimes we think about fame in like a one-way street where you're like, I'm doing this for me and only me, when I think a lot of the mentality is like me reaching out to Eddy, being like, "Listen, I've had you on before. I know you're starting a project out, and that can be so daunting as a content creator myself." And I was like, "I just need to hit Eddy up and have him on the show." Like, do I am I getting anything out of it? A cool interview, yes, granted, but like I'm doing it because I want to see someone else do well, right? You know, I think that we all get into this same boat where we're just like, "Our my content's the best, my band's the best. I only love to do this because it's me, and I think that I make the best shit." And that's probably you know, there's nothing wrong with being like so confident in yourself and what you do. Like I don't want to discount that, but I think there is a level of like being able to help someone else out because you know that they're starting out and it can be a very difficult thing. So if that's any consolation to people watching this, please go check out Sick Enough. Links below. Go give him a follow. I've done it all at this point, so I'm gonna pass it off to everybody else here watching the video. But yeah, no, and I think that's a common thing for musicians to go through, especially if you've transitioned from like doing like vocals or instrument only to like being a front man and like doing vocals. What was kind of that process of like going through that? Because I, like you said, it was a very tumultuous time, but what kind of thoughts shifted in your head where you're like, you know what? No, I can do this. This is like, I'm going to do this because I know that I believe in what I do and I wanted to get out there. Was there any sort of moment in that time frame where everything kind of clicked for you?
Definitely. So when it comes to when everything clicked, as mentioned, when I first went into the studio, it was with uh, a bunch of songs that were all very much different vibes.
Mhm.
So, and that's pretty common, you know, when you're first starting out. a lot of bands might have a little bit of trouble trying to figure out what their definitive sound is. So very much went through that. And then once we sat together, picked out the songs, made one from scratch there, and then did the main one that I sent. Um, it started to kind of come together that there's a very prominent theme here, which is about mental health, but bringing it
Yeah.
up in a way that's a lot more open and a bit more, I guess, tongue in cheek, but also above all, kind of like playing to the cognitive dissonance of things. Because if you really think about the song Low, it's a song that is very happy and poppy sounding from an instrumental standpoint.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
when you listen to the lyrics, it's like, oh God, get this person a therapist. Like, what's going on with them?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so like, and that's kind of going to be the theme with all the songs moving forward. So once we started to understand that there is a very strong theme here, which I am also very passionate about, just opening up that conversation about mental health
Sure.
amongst
Yeah.
others to really like make people feel, reassured that there are others out there that face those similar
Sure. Yeah.
things, and then hopefully we can make a bigger conversation out of it. Once I started to connect those dots, that's when it gave me the confidence to be like, okay, I have something here, there's a message here, and we definitely got to push it out. And of course, with the help of all the people that surrounded me, like my bandmates, close friends, loved ones, everybody has also been very encouraging to keep this going. And with the first release doing as well as it has been so far, that's just kind of further reassured me that we got something cool going on, and hopefully it'll continue that way.
Yeah. I mean, I checked out Low. That was the first song, and I'll probably be checking out all of them when they come out. But I was like, man, the songwriting was really great. Like, I enjoyed the kind of like pop rock, pop punk sort of energy, because
Mhm.
I didn't know that you had done that prior. So to see you jump from like metal to this, I was like, that that's an interesting transition. Usually it's the opposite. Like if you're in a pop punk band, you transition to something heavier. So
Yeah.
for the inverse to happen was interesting. And then I didn't know you played guitar as well. So I was like even more shocked because I was like, wait, he plays guitar and he's singing? This is crazy. So I was really shocked. So the first probably minute of the song was me like try all the gears were turning in my head of like, do I really know Eddy as well as I feel like I know him, right? Like, and
In fairness, with I've always played guitar. That was the first instrument I picked up. But the thing is, with my last band, I wanted to play guitar initially for that band, but to be quite honest, I was not good enough. I sucked at playing the parts, so I just jumped on bass. I just grabbed a $200 bass at Guitar Center, and just was like, "All right, I'm ready. Let's go." But yeah, guitar has always been like my most prominent instrument for sure.
there we
But
go. Well, the
yeah.
more you know now. I'll know for next time. But I was sitting there like shocked. I was like, this is cool. This gives me like band Camino energy. It gives me like a little I was like your voice kind of reminds me of like a lower tuned like Justin Pierre from Motion City soundtrack. You've kind of got this
Oh,
weird
nice.
like voice like warble to your voice, and I was like, that's cool. I like that. Not too many artists are hitting in that range. So I was like, that's neat. And then we got to the chorus. I was like, bro, this chorus, this chorus. Let me tell you something. This chorus was fantastic. It's like it's got the earworm quality. You're gonna be humming that melody in your head all day now. Like I know I'm gonna be humming that melody in my head. I'm speaking from experience because I experienced it. But yeah, it was great. And I would say the best part about the song that I was like really surprised about was the bridge. I think that was like that one took me by like the most surprise in that song. I was like, wow. I was like, this is really different. Like this is cool. It was a very nice switch up, and I think like looking at it from the musical perspective, I was like, this was really awesome. Your band members are also really sick. So kudos to them. Shout outs. But the song itself I think was really interesting was like I went back and listened to it after I'd done the reaction video, just kind of getting little snippets of stuff and like scrolling through Instagram. And I was like, I was like, man, these lyrics are hard. Like these are heavy lyrics on like a arguably like pop rock, pop punk sort of song. Like I feel like people will find a lot of like resonance in the song because like, like there was this one line, and I'm gonna paraphrase it because I'm trying to remember all the lyrics, but um it was like something in relation to like feeling kind of like the inadequacies of like the day-to-day like life. Like you're like you look in the mirror and you're like I'm not feeling it right now, and like that really stuck with me because I was like, there's some days where I'm just like, what the like I look at the mirror in my bathroom downstairs before I walk out the door for like my 9 to 5 job, and I'm just like, what the fuck am I doing with my life, like. And I really kind of took me to that like moment in time where there are some mornings where I think about that, and it kind of like it hit me in the chest. I could feel it in my I could feel like a knot in my chest a little bit about it, and I was like, if you can feel something like that within a song, like I think that's a big, 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 big compliment because like there's there's a level of like enjoying it musically, but I think if you can enjoy it from the level of like lyricism and it hits you hard, like I think that's what sticks with me as like as a person that loves music. Like if I can resonate a lot with where the person's at in their life, that's a big deal to me. And so, I got to give you credit for all the lyrics. I got to probably comb through all of them, but that one was the one like something to the effect of that's what it reminded me of, and I was just like, oh, like I literally like clenched my eyes and like held my chest a little bit, and I was like, oh boy, this hurts, but it's good to feel those things. So I gotta give you the kudos for that because it kept me honest, So I appreciate it.
No, and I really appreciate you saying that because that's what we're trying to do here. It's all about, bringing these emotions to life in a way that lets people who are going through those things know that like, hey, you are not alone in this, and sometimes it's okay to not be okay. Like
Hmm.
we and if we are able to have a more open conversation about it, we can, hopefully find ways to, either at least make things more understanding, or maybe probably not find a cure to it or solution, but at least we can, at least we can feel a little bit better knowing that it's not entirely just us, because that's the worst part about mental health, right? It's very much just you feel alone very often. Because what you described is what I've experienced myself, and it's just like you wake up some days or most days, looking at the mirror, being like, "What the hell am I doing? Why am I even here? Like, what's the point?"
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's that's all we're trying to do here. Just really kind of bring up that conversation with everybody.
Yeah, I think that's it's an important avenue to go down, and I appreciate the fact that again being so transparent about those types of lyrics and being so honest with already with your fan group, like fan base. Like I think that that's just such an important thing, and I hope people really delve more into what's coming out next with Sick Enough because um there was something about it that again just kind of hit me in the chest, and I felt like that's an important thing to share with people because like I'm a very big mental health advocate as well, and I think that it's important for people to talk about those things because it's such a person to person thing, but I think there's also a level of where everybody kind of can connect and be like, hey, if I'm feeling bad on this day, like I go and watch some movie or TV show that like I'm like, man, this like cures me somewhat, for that day or whatever.
For sure.
So I think for me, it's like I try to find things that I enjoy. Like I'll hang out with my cat who's currently on my bed behind me, like there are some ways to kind of like combat those things, but I also always leave it up to people. Like if you're dealing with something, like feel free to DM me like on social media. I think that just having someone to talk to is such an important aspect of things, and I try to do my best to answer all DMs. So please, if you are going through something, DM your boy. Would love to hear from you. So, but the next question I have for you, Eddie, because we got hot and heavy, so I appreciate that. I love a good love a good deep conversation. But how did you go find out about your bass player, your drummer? Give them a shout out if you'd like. But how did you wind up finding them and inserting them into your group? Because I feel like finding band members is always a fun process, especially drummers. Drummers are notoriously hard to find. So how did you go about locating them, and were they a part of like the local Florida scene, or like how did they come to be?
Yeah, so starting out, it was just me going into the studio and recording the songs. And as we got to, I think, two to three songs into the recording process, that's when I was starting to, reach out to people. But it's tough when when you're in a band that already has music out, it's kind of already established some kind of fan base.
Sure.
It's a
Yeah.
lot easier to find people because you could be like, oh, hey, want to be part of my band? They're like, oh yeah, I love this band for sure, let's do it.
That's
But when
sick.
you're
Yeah.
but when you're starting from zero, a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, I don't know, man.
Mm,
Like, you got nothing to show me or stuff like that, or like, and even if you show them the songs, they might even be like, I don't know, man. It makes sense because not
yeah.
everybody's willing to jump on something starting from zero. But over time, as I was kind of like secretly or more discreetly trying to find people, fortunately, through friends of friends, I've been able to come across first Jared, who's my bassist. Um, so it was actually a twofold thing. So I actually found Jared initially from a Facebook group for pop punk. It was kind of one of those larger Facebook groups that just has people talking about their pop punk projects or even music, things like
Oh,
that.
sick. Okay.
So yeah, I actually got a hold of him from there because he is in another band of his. It's a project of his called Last Disaster, which amazing stuff. You guys got to check it out for sure. Just both you, Brandon, as well as everyone else that's watching.
Will do.
Definitely give them a shot. Definitely check them out. So I reached out to him initially, and I showed him the stuff, and he was fully on board. And he has been probably one of the most supportive people so far with
Aw,
all this. Such a great guy. I love him to death.
shout
Um,
outs.
and the best part is that this was slightly before everything happened with 2020. So that window was when I was able to really get to know him before we even put anything. So
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
very much one of the scenarios where, yeah, I found him. Technically, he was a stranger on the internet that had some mutual friends, but within that window of trying to like build everything up before release is when I really got to know the guy. And we've just become really good friends since. And I feel like that's a
Aw.
very good way to like build a band. Now, after that, we did have one drummer at the time, but things didn't work out with him early on. But it was very amicable. But he, in fact, because things were at a point where he wasn't able to, because he had another commitment come up that was very important and understandably so, he recommended another guy named David, who is our current drummer. And funny enough, David and I go way, way back, even from my previous band. We had played a lot of local shows together
Love
in
to see
separate
it.
bands. Yeah, so him and I go way back on that front. He was in a couple of bands that got a good amount of traction in our scene as well as outside of our scene. So having him be interested in being a part of it and joining us since has been another great blessing because he's also been a huge support. And it's kind of like the whole idea of a band being like a relationship is so true here because each of us have different characteristics that complement everybody else's weaknesses.
I would
So
agree.
it's
Yeah.
like I feel like we have the perfect team right now. And even those who extend outside of the immediate band. So like, we have a creative director that's worked with us as well and a few other
Mm,
people on our team that have been absolutely phenomenal. But from the band's perspective, like I couldn't ask for any better members.
that's awesome. Well, kudos to them. Big salutes. I love to see it because they were great in the music video. So I love the energy. You know, when I go to see music videos, I go for the energy, and you guys certainly brought it. Also, whoever did the music video for it was shout outs to them as well too. Great job on the editing and stuff. I'm very particular about that sort of stuff, so I like to delve out compliments when I can, especially more currently if you've been watching the channel. I've been doing a lot of K-pop stuff, and you know the budget for a K-pop video. Ooh,
Oh,
insane. Great.
it's insane.
Next level shit right there.
Yeah,
So
K-pop is it's just a whole monster of it
it
on its
is.
own.
Oh man,
So
I'm taking on that giant. I feel like Shadow of Colossus. You know, I'm the guy like at the very bottom, and K-pop's this giant like omen monster. But it's sick. I
yeah,
love it. It's great. You know, it's a good time, and if you love K-pop, feel free to check out the videos. But yeah, I was like, man, I'm like this like there's so much intention behind everything. Like I even go to the Instagram and like the Facebook and like TikTok and stuff, and I'm just like everything is laid out so well. And I gotta give your creative director a lot of kudos because it's like to have a group that feels so already in the loop already and had nothing out, just like kind of was like delving out teasers, stuff like that. Like it's good. Like I think there is a lot of momentum to be built from that. And just got to give them a salutes because that is a difficult process as you know one who does pretty much everything for audio addiction. I know what it's like, so I gotta give you whoever they are massive shout outs because they did a great job rolling it out, and hopefully you enjoy the reaction video. I'll make like some dumb thumbnail, which everybody apparently loves my thumbnails now because like I go and find I'll give you the secret sauce to my thumbnails where I just find like the dumbest face I make in the video, throw a bunch of effects on it, and then I throw the text on there, and that's it. Like I don't do anything crazy, but I do make some dumb faces when I'm making reaction videos. So
I love that.
you can best be assured that I'll have some sort of dumbass face for the reaction video.
Dude, I'm so excited for that thumbnail. I know thumbnails is where it's at, you know, obviously because that's like the first thing people see. But dude, I'm so excited to see your reaction and get your thoughts because when I've seen your other videos reacting to music, I'm just like, you have some really great takes. So
Oh,
I'm just like
thank
I'm
you.
so excited to finally like you know to be able to hear it with this song and of course like
The ones to come, for sure.
yeah.
You best be assured I'll be doing the rest of them. You know what? I guess what is kind of your plan for the group? Because obviously you have Low out now. You know, you went with Andrew Wade to work on you know music as well. Like, is there like an EP coming? Because I feel like most people would assume an EP or just like are you guys just rolling out a bunch of singles in the next like coming months, end of the year into the new year, kind of a thing? What's the game plan, Eddie? Because you know I need to know. I need to know the answers. You know.
Definitely it's more of the latter as far as like just singles an EP probably but not for a while.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, so as of right now we have 4 songs kind of coming down the pipeline over
Woo!
time. So the
Okay.
next coming
Okay.
months we should have a couple more songs and we're going to the studio to write a couple more. So as far as the current plan is just more songs. Definitely within the next month or two, we'll probably get the next one,
Ooh.
which
Okay.
I'm super excited for. So yeah, just more songs on a consistent basis, which I'm sure everyone who is a fan of Low so far will be happy to hear. Got more songs coming, big things coming soon, as they say.
I don't know
So
however many guys, if you want to let a comment below how many times we have said that in this particular interview. I feel like I feel like a band should just make a shirt that says that. Like they should put their band logo on the front and on the back
oh
it
my
should say
god,
big things coming soon. I would be so fucking that'd be so hilarious. That would be like the ultimate piece of merch because like technically you could wear it all the time because that would be the case. So big brain. I feel like that'd be a big brain move if you ask me.
dude! If it hasn't been done yet, you got to trademark that immediately.
I'm
Just,
gonna after this interview. I'm going
just
to trademark Central, baby. We're doing it.
yeah, that's amazing.
I feel like that'd be too hard. Too
I think
too.
I think Audio Addiction can very easily make that shirt too if no one else has done it already. Like just
I
straight up,
think
just
I think I might have to throw it up in the
yeah,
shop. You know, so
absolutely, dude. If you do, I'm buying it immediately. Just
that's every week for me though. That's the big things coming is every week because it's always I post so much shit all the time. So it would be a terrible joke because it would be actually true because I all like my friends all the time tell me, especially people that watch like on a more consistent basis, are always like, I can't keep up with you. How do you do this? Do you sleep? Like, do you eat? Like, do you just hang from like the rafters of your room in your apartment? Like, I don't like, how does this happen? I don't know, man. I just do it because like I get the powerful energy of new homies releasing music or like bands I love releasing music, and like it energizes me. I feel like I feel like Goku with the spirit bomb. It just powers me up. So I'm just feeling the vibes of the homies, and like they got good shit coming. Like that only makes my spirit bomb that much more powerful. So
For sure. There's great music coming out every day. So
every
it's like
day.
you're always gonna have
Oh,
you're always gonna have material to work with.
and then K-pop releases on like a completely different schedule, and we
Oh
got to be on
man.
that schedule. So I am just like just being stretched, baby, and I love it. It's great. I'm not a masochist, but I enjoy the fact that I get to listen to a lot of music from a bunch of different spaces. But um, the question I have for you, Eddie, is like obviously you did mention that prior to your metal band, you were doing like pop punk, pop rock sort of stuff. I want to know
Mhm.
who you guys are drawing from now. Like what are some bands that like really influence Sick Enough and like what you guys are doing, because I always like to know this. Like I feel like I'm pretty on point with some of my picks, but I'm always curious to hear it directly from the person. So, who are some of the artists you were delving into at the time and like influenced your writing and craft pretty much?
For sure. So influences for now are pretty much like those huge bands from the 2000s pop punk. So like, like the Good Charlotte's, a Simple Plan, Blink 182, Bowling for Soup is another big one for us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so a lot of those bands. So for people who have heard Low and the few friends that have heard the other songs coming up, big things coming soon. The the very common phrase is that it brings them back to the early 2000s, and like
Yeah.
nostalgia is a big part of the play with our music because that's what we all grew up with and we absolutely love it. So yeah, that's very much one of our biggest influences, and it kind of changes over time. With new music coming out, we're just like, oh hell yeah, this is awesome. Like, and it kind of just naturally carries on to your writing process where you're
Sure.
starting to think of things. But yeah, a lot of those bands. 5 Seconds to Summer too is another big
Oh,
influence of
yeah.
mine.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, especially the early stuff, like Sounds Good, Feels Good is one of my top albums, believe it or not, from theirs. I love their new stuff too, don't get me wrong, but if I had to pick, I
Sure.
would go
Yeah.
Sounds Good, Feels Good. Um, the band Camino is like a more newer band that
Ah.
we
Okay.
love a lot. So when you mentioned the band Camino, I was just like, yes,
Let's go. Let's go,
yes.
baby. Yeah.
Yeah, I love their music. So yeah, and I know that like pop punk has kind of become a bit more popular nowadays, which is always great to see. Like there's kind of like this new resurgence with like artists implementing pop punk and then giving it more of that modern sound, which is awesome too. So like I think the band's music came out at a great time, and like yeah, we're just super excited.
Yeah, I think you hit that right on the head. I think you hit that like nostalgia that me being again. I reference this all the time about being old in the scene, but I'll die on this hill, and I'll probably die because I'm old. But I really enjoy kind of like again you pulling from like the nostalgic like pop punk pop rock of like the early 2000s, like the Good Charlottes, the Simple Plans, the like the Starting Line, like all of those sorts of groups where I love those groups. I still listen to them, probably some more than others certainly, but like that was kind of like the first thing when I was listening to it was like, wow, like there's something about it where there is this kind of like nostalgia, like dust on it, where I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, like this is very nostalgic to me, but like also reminds me of like some like more popular like A Day to Remember stuff, some like Band Camino stuff, some like a little bit of like Motion City soundtrack for that like nostalgia. Like I think there's this cool midpoint that you guys hit where it it feels like the songs could have been written in that time, but they have such this modern tonality to them that you're like, oh, okay, like this was released in 2023. That makes sense. So I appreciate the fact that, again, that like 90s like styling and like musicality and like even early 2000s music has kind of like revamped itself in this way in like the modern scape of music. And I think it just makes me excited to listen to more Sick Enough stuff. Like if you guys continue that same sort of ideology, or maybe push the gambit a little bit further. That's the one nugget of wisdom I'll give. Was like, I was like, I really hope Eddie pushes it in the next song. Like I want to see him go off. That was my only thing where I was like, this is great, but I know there's so much more unlocked in there. It's like when you have a character and you haven't unlocked all the DLC yet. You know, I feel like there's some DLC I haven't unlocked yet as a viewer that I'm like, is it coming? Like, am I gonna get that? Am I buying the new Eddy DLC coming soon? You know, that's what I'm hoping for. So I have a good feeling. I have a good feeling, you know, but I was trying to pad it out. I was like, he's gonna hit me with something good. I feel like in the next one.
Oh man, the fact that you mentioned that, the next song especially, I feel it's gonna scratch that itch for you.
Ooh,
Like,
all right, all right.
yeah,
There
for
we
sure.
go.
And yeah, so the way we put it when it comes to our songs, the way that we kind of go about it is like, if you would put this song on your MySpace profile, then we did a good job.
It would,
that's
yeah.
that's kind of how we go about it with our songs. Is like, is this MySpace profile song worthy? Like, so for people who had MySpace, they'll totally get what I'm talking about.
If you're older, you totally. MySpace was before Facebook.
Yeah,
Excuse me. Actually, I have to backtrack to that. Before Facebook, before, if it's like Instagram but with text, you know, and
yeah,
like none of that.
yeah.
So there you
And
go.
your profiles, you could basically like, you could design your profile however you like, and it was very much like your gateway into learning basic HTML coding. So like, like I remember too, back in the day, like during Christmas time, I would see people put like snowflakes on the top of their profile. I was just like, how do you do that? And I would just go to like every website I can, probably get like 10 viruses
Oh
on my
yeah,
computer
definitely.
while doing it. But hey, man, I got my snowflakes
You did it,
on my profile. Hell yeah, Merry Christmas, y'all.
my
Like,
guy. Yeah. So many bad things about that. And like
oh
early
yeah,
Facebook was the same way. So, man, if you're old, let us know in the comments. We'd love.
yeah.
We're we're in the same canoe together. But
Share me your Farmville username. Share me your Farmville farm. I want to see how it's going. Is
oh
it
my
still alive? Is
god,
it still
that's
kicking?
yeah.
Farmville, man. Oh my god.
I don't think that's. I think I think that's a memory that they do not want to exist anymore. But I
Yeah.
love it. Next
You remember
question.
poking? Poking was crazy
Oh,
too.
poking. Oh my
The
god.
whole poke wars.
Oh, I'll give a tangent. So like, you would just see like on your Facebook like home screen if someone's poked you or not.
Yep.
Oh my god, that was, and you would go on like this like it's basically like a Snapchat streak before Snapchat streaks existed, where you would just poke someone online and it would be this constant like the war of attrition, you know,
Yeah.
online. So if you get that reference, shout outs to you. But yeah, no, I think like I said, Low really got me hyped for what's to come. I enjoyed the song immensely, but I feel like, you know, there's more of the chefs cooking in the kitchen, you know what I'm saying? So I'm very pumped, but I gotta ask you some fun questions. You know, when you've been on here before, you know I gotta ask some good ones. But if there was a song you wish that you wrote, what song would it be?
A song that I wish that I wrote.
Yeah.
Oh man, dude, there's so many. Like, and any person who does art in any way, shape, or form, when they see someone else do something, sometimes they're just like, damn,
I wish
that's
I
so
did
good.
that.
I kind of wish I did that.
Well, now you don't have to wish. You can just say what you wish you did.
For sure. So, oh man, songs that I wish I did. Um, it's hard to say because I'm like, the way that my mind goes, it's that like if I did this song, I'd probably do it much worse. So I probably wouldn't think about if I would have done it, but like I would love to have gone back to like during My Chemical Romance, The Black Parade, just during
Oh,
that time, and maybe not even write the songs, but just kind of be a fly in the wall of that process. Because like every now and then, if there are any My Chemical Romance like hardcore fans
oh yeah,
watching this,
oh
you
yeah,
probably know exactly what I'm talking about. Every now and then, I like go on these nostalgia trips, and I'll just pull up all the different like collected videos from when they were in the studio for their first album,
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
and like also I'll watch Life on the Murder Scene like almost 3 times in 1 week just because I love it so much. But then when it comes to the Black Parade, which is my personal favorite album, there wasn't really much out there except for when they did kind of like a commentary of the album as it was playing, which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
super cool too. But like they talk about, for example, the entire writing of the album was done in a haunted house.
yeah,
They
yeah,
stayed in a haunted, and I'm like, to have been a fly in the wall in that moment when they're like literally just going through all the scary shit, all the spooky stuff, and coming out with Welcome to the Black Parade, Famous Last Words, House of Wolves, like all these amazing songs one after another. Like to just be there during that, like that would just be so interesting to just observe. And yeah, I could talk about this band all day, but I'll stop myself there.
No, no, that's great. I do remember that as being a former New Jerseyanite. I know they're from New Jersey, so big salutes.
Hell
So
yeah.
many great bands coming out of so many great bands that are iconic that came out of New Jersey. Um, but yeah, I do remember reading that when like and man, what an iconic email record. Like I don't think there's anybody that's in the scene that doesn't know that album or at least a couple songs off that album. You know, I feel like that's the trademark of a great band is if you're like you have that. Like I'm more of a Three Cheers guy. That's like the album that got me into it. I know Bullets is also great too. I went back and listened. I've been pretty much listened to the whole My Chem like discography, but Three Cheers was like the one that I got into the most, and then like got into Black Parade after, and I was like, this is really great too. Like, I mean, pick me on which day, like, you know, I'll have one where one's better than the other, vice versa. But like, there's something so like operatic about what they do too in Black Parade that like it's almost like a movie in some ways where like how they
Mhm.
paint this picture of like this entire like storyline and stuff and like being in a haunted house. I hate that shit, so like I feel like that would be my worst nightmare. So I'd probably just write about being like just shitting my pants the entire time. So not not cool. Wouldn't be on my things to do, you know. But I think it does make it for an interesting writing process. So I don't know if you have any plans to write in a haunted house, Eddie. I hope you don't. But I mean, hey, you know, you do your thing. If you want to do that, hey, do it.
If the opportunity comes, I will probably do it. Maybe we'll see.
Wow. Okay.
I'd be down, honestly. I really think that'd be an interesting experience just to kind of be in that space and see what it's like. Because admittedly, like I'm also like very skeptical of that stuff. So I would love to kind of like go through that and then be proven wrong and just have all this crazy shit happen and then like yeah, and then I
Write
don't
an
know, maybe
album, write an EP about it. You know.
like they're real, man. They're real. Trust me. And like, here, look, I sampled the ghost talking to me as as just pure silence or something. I don't know.
Oh my god, that'd be amazing. Well,
Yeah,
if you have a haunted house available for Eddie to write in, DM him on Instagram. Let him know. Like
for sure.
it might be that might have been the weirdest request I've asked my fan group to do. Of people watching a video, they're like, "Oh yeah, I actually do have a haunted house." So very interesting. That'd be very cool. The next question I have for you, Eddie, is I love asking this one too. What are you currently jamming to? What's on your Spotify? What have you been listening to lately?
Oh boy. Okay, what have I been listening to lately? So very recently, the new Blink stuff
Ooh,
that just dropped is definitely definitely on the top of my list just because it was really, really good stuff. Um, Aside from that, I've been also listening to. I know Magnolia Park is a band that's
Yes.
starting to build a lot of traction. They're actually from. I moved to Orlando, by the way, and they're from this area, and I'm just like, I love what they're doing. So constantly coming out with bangers, great stuff. Uh, so I also stumbled across this recently, and it's so wacky of a description, but I absolutely love it. So you know how on the internet lately or on YouTube, there's been a lot of you know how AI voice filters have become a thing.
Oh
How
God.
people have been doing. I think
I
you know
think
where
I
I'm
know what
going
you're
with
getting.
this.
I think I know. Oh no.
So yeah, and then now like people are taking vocals from iconic songs and replacing them with like SpongeBob characters. So now there's this guy or person, I don't know who, I believe they're anonymous, goes by Boy What, and they
Yeah.
dropped.
Oh my
Yes,
God.
they dropped they dropped all these original songs written as if they were SpongeBob characters, and then they use a SpongeBob filter. Dude, honestly, Plan Z,
It kind of
that
goes
song
hard.
slaps.
It
That
kind of
song freaking
kind of goes hard.
slaps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all
I'll
the
give
other
you
songs are
credit.
all the other songs are good too, but like Plan Z, that song, the amount of times that I'll like play it, it's a short song too. So like on a 10-minute drive, I'm hearing it 5 times. Like it's so good. It's so good.
I'll give you credit on that one because I almost didn't want to give it the cosign, but I can't lie, I'm not a liar, but like
Yeah.
man, that song is great.
Whether or not the whole like AI filter voice thing having a problem with likeness and copyright, that's a whole other conversation in itself. I'm
yeah.
very curious to see. But until that happens, I'm just gonna be playing the song and listening to it as best as I can. So
I
or as
mean,
much as I can.
I think for me as long as it's nothing like really like fucked up in any way, like I'm okay, completely okay with it. Like I think if like the artist is okay with signing off on it and like they don't make them say like really terrible and obscene things, then like I'm cool with that. If it's used like in this way in a very artistic way to go about it, I mean that's fun. I mean who doesn't? I mean that song is great. I am not gonna lie. I watched the full music video and I was like, should I like this? Like that's basically I sat here in my desk here and I was like, should I enjoy this song as much as I enjoyed it? And then I hit repeat. So then, you could say I enjoyed it. So, but yeah, it
Yeah,
was great.
man.
Great song. Great
The whole
production work.
AI is such a crazy concept, and like just seeing where it's headed now, like who knows what's gonna happen next? And it's just like it's such a I'm not gonna give my opinion on it personally. I'm just gonna kind of looking at it from the outsider's
Sure,
perspective. It's
yeah.
like it's super like it's such a controversial topic, and like just seeing how many people are presenting their arguments to it, and it's just like wow. Like I'm very curious to see where this goes in like the next 5 years or so. It's so wild. It's so wild
Yeah, I feel like it kind of came out of nowhere. So I'm curious to see what other people think about it.
for
Obviously,
sure.
I don't have any opinion on it since I'm not a musician, but I work with a lot of musicians, and so I feel like from my perspective, I like as long as they're being consenting and saying like you can use this like and they're okay with it being used, then like I think that's good and there is some like way that they can be compensated in some way for the track if it's like theirs. I think that that's awesome, and I would hope that everybody would kind of go about it that way. But like, also the same point, like I think it's. I also think there are some negative repercussions for that as well too. So I'm not gonna take. We could talk. I could talk about that for like hours if I really wanted to, but I'm not gonna. But yeah, I don't know. I have a mixed bag on it. I don't think it's particularly bad per se, but I also don't think it's great either. I'm just kind of like I feel like it's a very mid take for me where I'm just like not for it. I'm not against it. I just feel like it's a very situational thing where like if people are okay with it and you guys find a way to make it work out between both of you to use it, great. If not, then probably we shouldn't have it. So
Ye-
that's my 2 cents. That's it.
No, that makes sense to me, man. Makes
So
sense to me.
love it. Well, Ed, I have another question for you. I did ask this one to you previously, so I'm curious if you're answers have changed on this one, but if there was somebody you could collaborate with on an up and coming Sick Enough track, what's one that is more realistic, one that you feel like, if you wink, wink, nudge, nudge, into the camera, said like, hey, XYZ, if we did a song together, that'd be kind of sick. And then what's one that is like, we're putting it out there, we're manifesting it for you.
Okay, good question. I guess on the more like realistic side, man, that's tough. I would probably want to collaborate with Honey Revenge. That's another band.
Ooh.
I think they collaborate. They've been collaborating with other artists recently. So like seeing that happen, I'm like, so you're saying there's a chance? So I think maybe as time progresses, because obviously we're still fairly new. I think as we start to grow a little bit, that opportunity might arise. We'll see. I think I just gotta like you said, that wink, wink, nudge, nudge of like, hey, like, what do you think of this song? Do you want to be in it? Like stuff like that. So that I think is the first one that comes to mind. That would be a really cool collab. Now, like, definitely something that would be like dream come true. It's not going to be surprising based off what we talked about earlier, but Gerard Way, without a doubt, number one choice. That, as I'm sure many other people dream for that opportunity. So, like, as soon as I see someone else collab with Gerard, it's going to be like, dude, how?
It could happen. It could happen. It could happen. Immediate sure. DM to them. What'd you do? How much did you pay him? How much do I have to start saving now?
Please, let me talk to him.
Oh, my God. It's the Eric Andre meme. Let me in.
Let me in.
You're like in it. You're like outside of his. I know Eddy would never do it, but like just show up to his house and you're like, let me in. I just want to collab with you. I love you. Don't actually do that. But guys,
of course. Oh, yeah.
I would love for both of these, if not on the same track. That would be kind of hot. I would like that a lot. So you know what? Listen, I need you to go tag Sick Enough, which if you haven't given them a follow, that is the prime opportunity to give them a follow. So I need you to tag Sick Enough on Instagram. I need you to tag Honey Revenge, and then I also need you to tag, you can either tag Gerard Way or My Chemical Romance, whatever you're feeling. I'm gonna leave that up to you. And then you need to type in the word collab ? And listen, I've been on the internet for a long time. And I've seen some stuff, I've seen some things. So, I'm just saying, you're putting it out there, and if it's on the internet, it's probably true. So, just saying. I'm just going to leave it to you. You guys got it. I know you got it, Devin, I know you watched the show. So, shout outs to Devin of Honey Revenge, going out with my homies in the home team, just saying, homies of homies, that's how those things happen. So, let's do it. I think that would be sick. And also, Gerard, I know we're New Jersey Knights, so, like, I feel like you could do me a solid, as being from New Jersey. I'm also from New Jersey,
I love that.
Just saying. I don't have any connects to you, but, like, I want to say that just because we're both New Jerseyans, you know what it's like. So I'm just going to say that. So we'll see what happens. But it'd be really sick. Especially Honey Revenge. I feel like that'd be really sick. I would love to hear your voice and Devin's voice together. Be really awesome. So
yeah,
let's do it up, guys. Well, the next question I have for you, Eddy, is another fun one. If you were to compile a musical supergroup, who would be in this project?
Musical supergroup. Okay. There's so many. The thing is, I'm like, my brain's trying to think about, okay, if it was this genre, it should be this, that, or that genre.
It's the Eddy genre,
man. Okay. Dead or alive?
I feel like alive, because then it makes it more realistic that it could happen.
That's true.
Unless you wanted to put like the Tupac hologram like style people into your group, then I don't know how well that would work out realistically. But hey,
yeah. It probably would not go too well. So I think should probably do okay. If if it was, I've always been curious to see like Tosin Abasi
Ooh.
working with like a pop artist.
Oh.
So like, can you imagine just like imagine Animals as leaders and Ariana Grande working together? That'd be wild. Or like literally any other artist that does some like very impressive vocals. Uh, I feel like that'd be a very interesting thing to see. Or honestly, maybe
Oh God, this is not good.
this is such a meme answer.
Oh,
Jack Black doing Gent.
I kind of love it,
And then
honestly.
he could call it Jack Black, but with a DJ. DJ AK, Jack Black.
To Jack Black.
Email me, bro. Email me. Let's talk.
I gotta give you kudos on that one. That's a good one. I like that. You know, because he kind of does a little scatting. You know, he kind of just does it, you know, like, and just have someone just like mash up that like the polyrhythm. We got something cooking here. This is a good idea.
It's like it's very like it kind of gives like a Corn vibe ish.
But yeah, it's like a little new metal. Yeah.
Jack Black doing Corn with Gent background. Oh my god,
guys, this is good. Jack Black, hit our line. I mean, we do it. I don't know what type of band would. I mean, listen, it's got Jack Black in it. I feel like, and he's a metalhead, so
absolutely.
Where you at, Jack Black? Could give us a call. Give us a call. Love that. That's a great choice. But I also got to give you a lot of credit on the the Tosin Abasi, like Animals as Leaders, like Ariana Grande thing. I think that would be tight. I think the closest thing that I've heard is, I don't know if you've listened to the new Polyphia album, but they did ABC with Sophia Black.
Yes,
that song.
Actually,
that's like pop. That's like pop artist would like shred a little bit.
That's true. Honestly, I think Polyphia would probably be able to accomplish that better. I feel like the Animals as Leader stuff is very technical, as it should be.
Sure. Yeah.
So I don't know how like pop vocals would work well on top of it, but like the Polyphia stuff is definitely more towards that vibe, and I love what the guys at Polyphia do. Their music is just phenomenal.
Yeah, you should check out their new album. Then you'd really enjoy it, I think.
Yeah.
So very cool. Well, the last question I have for you, Eddie, as much as I could continue talking to you for more hours, it's the weekend. You know, you love the weekend. So, but wanted to end it off with probably the biggest question I ask all the time, and I love asking it. Why are you so passionate about making music? I mean, we talked about earlier on in the interview, struggling with, finding yourself in that way and looking at yourself as being a front person and like really honing in your craft. And, I got to give you a lot of kudos for, digging yourself out of that and picking yourself up and saying like, I need to do this. This is what I want to do. Like, this may be the only time that I'll do it, and like that's really important. And I feel like for myself, like I have to celebrate those big moments because that's such a cool thing. So kudos to you on you to find your voice and really hone in on what you do. But what drives you, what continues to make you passionate about doing it? Because I think if anything, that makes me more excited for any group that I have on, like to know that they are just hype, their balls to the wall, like we're doing it, we're going for it, we're hitting it hard, we're gonna get it, get in the bag, like what makes you passionate about making music?
So I guess what makes me passionate about it is just it's just something that it kind of feels innate to me. Like it just feels like part of my nature, because after leaving my last band, I was kind of in a mindset where I wasn't sure if I was going to do music again, at least at a level where I publish it to the world and see where it goes. Like if I were to do music, it was probably going to be very much like just to myself when I have the time, just as a way to kind of like relieve stress or as a creative outlet. But even then I was just kind of like in a not the greatest space at that moment. So I was avoiding music altogether. And I tried, I ventured around. I tried doing other things because I just loved creating things. I
Yeah.
ventured a little bit into like Twitch. I did that for a while. I tried YouTube for a while. And as fun as they were, it's just it wasn't. It didn't feel right to me. Like it
Hmm.
just when I finally, picked up a guitar again and just started writing music with no expectations and just for the sake of it, for the love of it, it started to kind of all click again. And then when I jumped back into the studio to work with Andrew for this song, like it was such a feeling of like happiness that I had not felt in a very long time.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's when it clicked to me that I'm like, this is what I need to do. Like this is what I love to do. And and yeah, it's just since then, it's every time that I meet up with the guys again because even though I'm in Orlando, the rest of the other bandmates are in South Florida, so we kind of
Oh,
have to coordinate sometimes when we meet up, whether it be for like a rehearsal or if we're filming something for the band, etc. So there are some times in between where I'm just by myself working on music or just going through the day to day, and every time that I do get to hang out with them again and do something music related, whether it be filming a video, but more the probably where I feel it the most, and this happened actually recently, is when we're in a studio space together, just writing music as a group. That's where it's like where we have all the creative juices flowing, and we're just realizing like how we're all on the same page. Where it's like we hear something, and then we all think like in unison, like we should do this next. It's like, oh
yeah.
my god, like those little moments is what made me realize like this is my passion, and this is what I need to do
Sure.
all the way
Yeah.
up until 50, 60, or whenever I pass away. Like I got to do this in some way, shape, or form because it's just what I love to do. And I'm sure you share that sentiment with what
Oh,
you
yeah.
do as well as anyone else who makes something that and puts it out to the world. Like this is what you love to do, and it's just it's just something that feels natural.
Yeah. I think people question what you do and why you do it, right? And I think that like, I think if anything, like that's a good thing because I think like it keeps you honest. Like it's like,
Hmm.
like if I'm not really feeling it anymore, like I tell people you shouldn't do it. Like because people can tell if whether or not you're genuine about it or not. Like, like that's kind of like the reason why, every once in a while I'll take a break, I'll take some stops. I'll just like enjoy my life. Like, cause people just think I just do this shit all the time, which granted, given the amount of content I push out on a like monthly basis, you would probably think I do this in a very high full-time capacity. And I do that because it's like genuinely something I enjoy doing it. I even have like another podcast where I talk music stuff. So like there are other avenues where like I get to do different things. I get to be, either the front person talking to people in the camera doing this, or like I get to take more of a backseat role in other things. And like it still doesn't affect my love of being in music. Like I think there's something that and I'm sure you can agree with this too, Eddie, is where like you found your identity, like the reason, who you are. And like, this scene is very accepting of everyone. And I think that that's kind of like where I find a lot of solace and like why I always try to highlight bands all the time because I know it's made such an personal impact on me that I want to be able to share that personal impact with other people that I have on, but as well as that like the amount of impact that I'm sure they've had on music has had on them. And I think that that's an important thing to share and for other people to like really care about, because I think oftentimes they're just like, some person will like DM you. I can assure you, they're like, love the song. When's next song? Need to know when next music comes out. Love this. And like again, it's not a bad thing. Everybody likes new music. I love new music, but like I also have come to the ideology. It's like if I get the next new song, cool. I'm gonna be very excited for the next new song, but like I'm not gonna go DM Eddie and be like, Eddie, come on, man. We just talked now. Like, when's the next song coming out? I need to know. I'll just be like, whenever I see it show up in my YouTube feed or I see an Instagram post, and then they're like, next new song coming out October 14th. And I'm gonna be like, fuck yeah, let's go. Love it. And so I think you should just and also support your friends. If you are in the scene and you want to see your scene do well, is by supporting other people within your scene. Don't be the bigger person and be like, well, I'm a bigger band, like I need to be this way. Like, no, that's just enjoy the scene and mutually grow together, because like you don't know what this band's going to do for you when you get bigger, and they're going to help you out and vice versa. Just be very cordial about everything, and it usually works out for the most part. But
100%, man. As they say, a rising tide raises all ships.
Eddie said it way better than I could have. But the last thing, Ed, before I give you the chance to plug your music, I need to know. I hate asking this question genuinely, but I have to ask as someone who just loves music. What is there any significance to the band name? Like, I need to know if this was the first band name that you came across and you're like, yeah, this is it. This has got to be it. I'm just curious, what is there's any like lore or backstory to the name?
So it's kind of like so it kind of has a double meaning, but more so the first thing I'm about to describe. So like the name, we came up with the name actually during 2020, while everything was
Oh
happening.
boy.
So the whole idea is, with everybody being stuck at home, we, for very valid reasons, it's just kind of like another big aspect of all that happening was that everybody's mental health practically went to shit.
Oh yeah.
Like to the point where like even at that point when I was trying to find myself a therapist at the time, like there was no one, everyone was already like super booked. No one was taking in new clients because they had seen such high levels of demand for therapists and psychiatrists, because again, mental health had reached an absolute low with
Yeah.
everything that was happening. So that had my mind thinking of like the world is sick enough as it is, and now we're at this moment where everybody is forced to stay away from one another, and like there's no interaction, which for a lot of people is the main thing that kind of keeps us afloat. Just
Sure.
being able
Yeah.
to talk to one another and have these one-on-one moments, whether it be like at a restaurant or whatever. And now we're kind of stuck at home, kind of going through cabin fever to a certain degree, while also making sure that we stay safe and keeping everyone else safe around us. So that's kind of where the thought comes around with the name. It's like we're sick enough as it is. Like now we're at this point where things are going to get even worse, and they did. Fortunately, now we're kind of going back to things being a bit more normal. But it's kind of a homage to like the idea of mental illness being prominent, or it should be prominent, and just kind of building that conversation. And then of course, like the more funny way of saying is like, yeah, this band is sick enough, like we're sick enough. Like we're cool. We're hip. How do you
We're
do,
up
fellow
there,
kids?
yeah.
Like, yeah. But yeah, no, it's more so the first thing. Just kind of thinking about how mental health really took a toll during that window, and just kind of bringing up that conversation more to light, because sure, even though we've gone away from that and are getting a little bit more to normal day-to-day living, there's still a lot of mental trauma or just emotional trauma that people went through during that time that doesn't necessarily go away. It kind of just sticks around, or just kind of like, yeah, it can manifest to other behaviors later down the line. And it's just, our way of trying to bring that to light and hopefully bring more attention to the mental health crisis that we got going on.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it. I almost thought it was I kind of ironically I thought the same way. I was like maybe it's like a thing about like the pandemic and like mental health and stuff. But then I also thought like like the atypical like skateboarders, like, yeah, sick enough, bro.
Yeah.
Love it,
That's
really feeling the vibes, bro. Like, your band's sick enough. Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
really that really hit me on like an emotional level, like so cool.
Yeah, so that's kind of why we were like we were sold on that name, because we have like a list of a bunch of names that we were kind of just spitballing through, and that's the one that stuck for those two reasons. So it's the more serious side is what we first talked about, and then for the more like not so serious, it could be that part. But I feel like as long as people find some meaning to it, that's positive. That's all that matters to us.
Gotta have a little bit of both, you know. I feel like
Of course,
you gotta have the negative thing to counteract the positive, funny thing, you know. So
for sure.
it's a good move, good move. But you know, now you can tell people where they can find Sick Enough at. What you guys have big news coming, you know.
Yeah,
You can tell them all the big news that's coming up.
absolutely. Yeah. So big things coming soon, and I promise they are soon. So yeah, you can find us basically all social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, etc. Just under Sick Enough Band. That's our name everywhere. Simple enough. And then as far as things coming up, we got another song in the pipeline within the next month and a half to 2 months. So if you're following us on any of those things, then you will definitely be notified. So yeah, really excited for the next song, and I'm super looking forward to your reaction video.
Oh, don't worry. I'll show, I'll send it to you.
Oh
Um,
yeah, super
but
stoked.
guys, listen, I love Eddie, and you know what? You should love him too. So go check out Sick Enough. All of the links will be in the description. Also, if you know you want to check out my reaction video, that'd be cool. That you don't have to, but you know if you did, you might be sick enough. That was a terrible pun. Anyway, please.
It's okay. We make the pun all the time. We all make the pun, and we find so many ways to try to make fun of we try to find different ways to react to it, all of which be very ridiculous. There was a point where anytime that someone made the pun, we just immediately fired them, like fake fire them. Just be like, you're fired. And not even it might not even be someone in the band. Like someone else might be just say like, oh yeah, it's pretty sick. It's sick enough, guys. I'm like, you're fired. I'm like, I don't even work for you.
We're gonna hire you on for this 1 minute before you made that joke, and then we're gonna fire you after. Yeah. So I got hired on and fired in like the matter of a minute, guys. So fastest job I've ever had.
So for anyone watching, if you ever see us in person, if you ever meet with us in person, you make a sick enough pun to us, expect a reaction. I don't know what it'll be. I don't know what
It'll be a scale of 1 to 10. You know.
I don't know what the consensus of a reation will be at that time, because it's always going to change. But expect some kind of reaction from us.
I love that. Yeah, definitely go throw some puns, you know, at the wall there. But yeah, please go check out Sick Enough. Links below. If you enjoyed this interview, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. It goes a long way. I am poised to probably hit 3K before the year's over with. So, you know, that'd be really sick. Large stretch goals, 5K. You know, if you really want to just hit me to 5K, I mean, I'll cry on a video. I would actually cry because that would be amazing. But you know, if we get the 3K, I'll probably also cry because that's fucking sick. So please go check out Sick Enough. And again, huge thanks to Eddie for coming back as always.
Of course, man. Always happy to be here, and I believe in you. I'm sure you can hit that 5K. You're making some amazing stuff, so it's only a matter of time.